Aum Sairam. Hara Hara Shankara, Jaya Jaya Shankara. Episode 37. Shri Mahaswami-The Sage with Eyes of Light. The Diary of a Seeker of Truth. Dr.Serge Demetrian. Dear devotees, now we shall listen to the second section of part 2 of this divine book under the subtitle The Lotus Pond. Karveti Nagar, Sunday, 3rd October 1971. After yesterday's events, I expected a day of rest. Still, I went to the lotus pond. Shri Mahaswami was inside the hut. After meditating half a muhurta under the shed of the rickshaw, I passed along to the other side of the reservoir. Round 10 o'clock, I returned, and although I was annoyed due to some fatigue and headache, it was impossible to quit the hermitage. After half an hour, Shri Mahaswami came out onto the small grassy ground at the west of the hermitage, where a large group of insistent visitors waited. He, for reasons known only by him, receives everyone who comes to him seriously, even those who come only for their little benefits, like children who are attracted by a candy vendor in the street. I placed myself at the periphery of the group on the south, hoping that Shri Mahaswami will leave from that side, and really he left by the southern side. I approached in front of him and prostrated without expecting much. At my surprise, he stopped and showed by an energetic gesture that he wanted to see me without any obstacle. The group withdrew immediately, and all lined up in an irreproachable straight array, looking eastward. In front of the line, at one extremity, Swamiji bestowed upon me his darshan at some 4 meters from me, and after having finished the prostration, I kept kneeling with the hands in prayer as it is proper to do when in front of Ishvara. Shri Mahaswami blessed me for a long period. He stared into my eyes, murmured something, measured me from up to down, stared once again into my eyes. He continued up to the moment when I had the vision of a Spatika Shivalinga. Just before plunging inwardly, I perceived a flash of light at my left. Swamiji being in front of me, the light could not have come from him. I think that it was from an amateur photographer. Shri Mahaswami did not allow the line of visitors to break up until, after a few minutes, I had finished taking his darshan. Then he left slowly, went round the hermitage by the southern side, and entered the hut. In the evening, I could see Shri Mahaswami after 3 hours of waiting, and this only from outside through a narrow space between the bamboo panels. He was officiating a puja in his room. He sat on the beaten earth covered with a yellow mat in front of a large wooden plate filled with water, in which were floating flowers and bits of plants. Shri Mahaswami faced north. His features were severe as he threw grains of rice into the water with precise, regular and elegant gestures. Around him were the offerings in brown pots and lathered wood, and a woven basket full of small multicolored flowers. At his left was another wooden plate, smaller, filled with oil, in which floated a broad wick at the end of which sparks were joyfully wavering. On a shelf at his right side and above, a large oil lamp cast dancing shades on the golden walls. In between the two sparkling flames, Swamiji shone as a peaceful light. The entire room seemed to be a cave lost in the rocks of an ancient mountain, where the ritual was being officiated with method and determination to resolve a mystery on which seemed to hang the fate of an empire. A certain aged lady, an educated person and long-time devotee of Shri Mahaswami, came to inform me of the reply that he had given to a group of visitors from Madras. They had inquired who I was and why he was accepting me for so long a darshan in his presence. He has come only for me, this man, replied Sri Mahaswami, while you have come for yourselves. Karveti Nagar, Monday, 4th October 1971. A great day. This morning I woke up well disposed. If at that very moment I am able to mentally utter the name of Sri Mahaswami, the feeling of bad taste habitual with me between sleep and true waking is effaced. Before departure, I read a few slokas of the Katha Upanishad. I reached the hermitage to find Sri Mahaswami seated, facing east on the platform with statues at the foot of the tall peepal tree. He sent me a penetrating look, then a second one. I understood that I should not go to the lake, as usual, to sprinkle a few drops on me, supposed for purification, while mentally repeating a divine name. In order to contemplate him properly, I placed myself at the southern side of the peepal tree platform. Clouded weather, fresh mountain air, chirping birds, in short, perfect conditions. At the beginning, a visitor stood in between. He left as soon as I was able to concentrate. I plunged successfully inwardly 3 or 4 times. The 2 lightning bolts of Sri Mahaswami's eyes were about to join in the luminous center in between my eyebrows. Was this the method for a shortcut to the Sahasrara? During this time, Swamiji was performing his morning puja with herbs and flowers. After one muhurta, he came down from the platform and heading towards the hut, he looked wise at me as if calling me. I followed him. All the assistants and the visitors had left and he granted me a splendid darshan. Alone, standing immobile in the room without windows, he looked across the opening of the door towards southeast. His wide open eyes were white and charged into a luminous vapor, the dimness of the space behind him. I prostrated and felt the blessing coming down on my head and the nape of the neck. It was a streak of freshness with an exquisite odor. I knelt and started contemplating his eyes, which, due to their scintillation, rendered pale his features. In the middle of the bluish brightness of the eyes, the steady and tube-like lightning of the pupils was directed forward without my being able to tell where to, on me, through me, behind me. It is certain that their sparkle came out of a gigantic inward fire barely contained by the shell of the body. Then his face became blackish, like the overheated wall of a steel stove. He has passed beyond the limits of the visible towards the black light. All the time Sri Mahaswami murmured, moving only the lips with an inaudible voice, a holy name, no doubt. He kept me so kneeling without being able to move a good 10 minutes. Towards the end, I shaded my eyes with my hands as the order of his look was becoming unbearable. He left at the instant when he felt I needed to move out of the kneeling position. The day was efficacious despite the complicated program. To think of Sri Mahaswami and of the great goddess at every moment without being pushed to ask for it is still an ideal for me. I had to leave my room earlier for the hermitage at around 5 p.m. I found Sri Mahaswami seated on the last step near the water as if he was waiting for me. Straight away, I started a short meditation. He permitted me to come nearer as suddenly I fell into a void and terror gripped me. I struggled. I clung to him, to his name, to the great goddess, to her name. I do not need anything. The individuality, I refused it, as glorious it might be. I felt so abandoned, so full of despair that Swamiji took pity on me. He came, he palisated me. I repeated his name that slowly brought me out of the chasm. After several pradakshinas, I was able to start for the mill. I came again at the beginning of the night, and I found him in the hut, sitting on the bed, facing southeast, where he contemplated a superb full moon. Almost all the visitors had left. He kept me for 1 hour alone in front of him at the opening of the door. I adored him in place of the celestial star. Sri Mahaswami looked at me for a long time with the left eye between two of his fingers, but also with the right eye, the one that does not serve him for seeing but only for blessing, I surmise. From time to time, with his hands, he performed circles round me, in me, or he snapped his fingers as during the puja. By every one of his movements, he relaxed and calmed me down. In his presence, the peaceful luminosity of the moon emanated a slow radiation that crumbled the stone of this body and transformed it into transparent glass. I was sustained in this way for the longest and most serene meditative period of the past weeks. The intention of Swamiji to teach me was so evident, the disposition of the mind and the surrounding conditions so good, that I did not feel any fear to lose his presence. The time also was flowing slower, so the feeling of effort was reduced until it perished. He permitted to separate myself from my transitory nature and become aligned to his own nature. 3 times, each almost exactly after 1 hour period, he ordered me through a direct, inaudible internal voice to walk round the hermitage or to walk on the steps of the lotus pond as to relax, no doubt. Every time when coming back, I would find the same place in the opening of the door unoccupied, which was a little miracle at the hermitage. And every time I found Sri Mahaswami in the same posture, steadfast, unshakable as the truth in itself. When 3 hours had passed, I understood that I should leave unhesitatingly. I prostrated and left with no regret. Karveti Nagar, Tuesday, 5th October 1971. The jewel of a great day. Quite good a day if one takes into account that it followed an exceptional one. This morning, by the blessing of Sri Mahaswami, I could avoid the muddy waters of the waking moment. His name immediately appeared. What force can withstand his name and that of the goddess? They are one. Name and person are in permanent unity. I had planned a major cleaning of my room, but Swamiji gave me the unexpected happiness of a meditation right there at the mill. By about 7 a.m., I retired to a nearby meadow. Dew, flowers, the sun that was smiling across the scattered clouds. After the coming of the great friends, I felt as if the eyes of Sri Mahaswami physically replaced my own eyes up to the point of transforming them into 2 miniature suns. They became united in the point between the eyebrows. Previously, for me, if I was alone, it was a very arduous operation. This time it took place in a few seconds. I have no merit in this. He accomplished everything, for on my side I had furnished only the body and created the difficulties. A cramp in the nape of the neck and in the left shoulder, which are clear signs of nervous overexcitement. In a panic, I called Swamiji. I was sure he would come, but not so quickly. Almost immediately his own being appeared and methodically apprised the entire indicated area of tension and other points also, where the contraction was only lurking. That's right foot, low back of the body. The result was spectacular. The body had become a white luminous lake, For a few seconds on this stable foundation, he brought up twice or three times the light on my eyes to the point in between the eyebrows and then along the vertical axis of the body. The sun was present all the time. After the meditation, my great friend sent, as if by a human hand, a dose of healing rays on the back, that is, along the length of the spine. In addition, he attentively received my renunciation of the koshas, the quintuple sheaths. Devotees, we shall continue to listen to the lotus pond in the coming episode, bowing at the holy feet of the Gurus. Aum Sairam. Hara Hara Shankara, Jaya Jaya Shankara.